The Lakers dodged a major bullet here with the trade being rescinded for Mark Williams. Look, I understand he was going to be a major upgrade on offense. I was excited for the move because when they got Mark Williams, you thought to yourself, that's the move you want to make in terms of upgrading the roster. And you trade your future picks because you have Luca, assuming for the next 10 years, right? And you're just trying to build around him. The problem is Mark Williams can't stay healthy. There was a report today he's not playing tonight. Imagine if the trade went through and the Lakers found out he is not healthy, that he can't stay on the court. And then the rest of the season, he gets another injury. Imagine what kind of blow that would be to this roster and this franchise because you lose assets to trade for, like Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and your draft picks. The good news is you get those assets back. And at this point, you could look at the buyout market, maybe get a Daniel Tice, a PJ Tucker, a Mo Bamba, but that's not going to help you beat the teams like the Nuggets, Oklahoma City Thunder, the Memphis Grizzlies. To me, the Lakers are a second round exit at this point. Now, that's no shame because you have to remember when you got Luka Doncic, what you're telling Lakers fans is we are now transitioning from LeBron James to Luka Doncic. He is now the priority. He is our best player. And going forward, we are going to listen to him before we listen to LeBron James because he's probably got, 2 years left? There's a report that LeBron James camp took note of the organization asking Luka who he needs on this roster, which is fine. That's supposed to happen. That's a good sign going forward if you're a Lakers fan. Now, this whole trade not happening, it's a blessing in disguise because you still have Dalton Connect. You can see how he performs going forward. I know he struggled. I believe it was in January, he shot 15% from three. He's shooting 37% now. He's been inconsistent, but he's a rookie, and I'm sure he'll find his shot again, especially when you're playing with Luka Doncic. He'll be able to create shots off the dribble, draw double teams, and there'll be a lot of attention on Luka. So we'll see how Dalton Connect plays the rest of the season, but I still believe it was a great draft pick. Then you could still move off of Cam Reddish, and you still have your future draft pick. So even though this is a blow because you thought you get Mark Williams, he's healthy, he gives you 16 and 10, all of a sudden the Lakers can make a deep playoff run. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Now, I understand that you could be confident with Luka and LeBron, but let's be honest, the rim protection is going to be a complete disaster. Teams are going to eat them alive on the boards, and they're going to struggle down there. Now, going forward, I still like the lineup of Luka, Austin Reeves, LeBron, DFS, and Jackson Hayes at the center position. Now, Jackson can only do so much, so if you're going to expect him as this elite rim protector, good luck. And if you want to get a guy like Daniel Tice, who's 6'8", yeah, that's not a good look. Mo Bamba, he has moved around so many rosters. And a PJ Tucker, he's a tough guy, but he's old. And to rely on him as one of your rim protectors, that's not going to work out too well. So just look at the season as we got Luka. We have a future to look forward to because before this, we had Anthony Davis and LeBron. Great duo, but you knew eventually the keys are going to be passed down to Anthony Davis. And yes, he's a great player, but you can't rely on him to be your number one option and to stay healthy. He's already out for multiple weeks after his debut with Dallas. So you already won the trade with Luka, I think. And going forward, just take your time. Go into the offseason, evaluate the NBA and the trade market, sign some guys because we already know what's going to happen. People are going to come to the Lakers to play with Luka Doncic. You can move off guys who don't fit well with him. I would still keep DFS, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt for now. I like his defense. His offense has question marks, but if you play him for like 10 to 15 minutes a night just to slow one of the star players down or just make it tough on them, I like that idea. You also have DFS who can guard 1 through 4. So I love those guys. You just got to figure out who should build around Luka. I think DFS will be staying. Rui Hachimura, not the best defensive guy, but really good on offense. Do you trade him eventually? If I'm the Lakers, the guys I'm keeping on this roster, Austin Reeves, I'm keeping Luka, obviously LeBron, and you keep DFS. Those are your, obviously LeBron's not going to be the main cornerstone, but you still have him on your roster. And going forward, you're just looking at this as a way to build chemistry, to just have a good performance in the playoffs. And even if you get bounced, let's just say in the first round of Denver, you go into the offseason, you realize we got to get it big. There's no question about it. We still have some assets to move off of. We can still move off of Dalton Connect at some point, Cam Reddish in that future draft pick. You don't care about it because you have Luka for the next 5 to 10 years. So, yeah, it stings a little bit because Mark Williams was looking like the guy who could really score for them offensively. Defensively, not that great, but he was 23 years old, and you come to the Lakers, you're going to be motivated to play for them and want to prove a point. And also, when you're trying to make a deep playoff run, you're going to be held accountable to show up night in and night out. Unfortunately, the trade did not work out, and I just see it as a good thing because, again, if Mark Williams was not healthy and you gave up Dalton Connect, who was balling out for the Hornets because he's shooting better, and you have a guy like Cam Reddish, who knows what happens in that draft pick. Now you have to figure out, okay, we got to add pieces. Maybe you got to trade LeBron James at that point. I know that sounds crazy, but you got to get something back in order to build around Luka Doncic because he's the cornerstone franchise player for the Lakers going forward. There's no doubt about it. You have to remember if they had Mark Williams, you have no more draft capital to trade. You don't have role players you can move off of. Now you have to gut your roster even more by moving off an Austin Reeves or maybe LeBron at that point because you got to get some draft capital back and some other role players to move forward in your future. Remember, getting Luka Doncic is a long-term process. You're not going to just win the championship overnight. You still have to compete with teams like OKC who have built their chemistry, they're understanding their roster, and they have all this draft capital to upgrade things. So you got to compete with that. And then you have to deal with the Rockets who are getting better. I know they're probably handling them this year, but they're going to get the experience of the playoffs. Ime Udoka as a coach. The Rockets are going to continue to rise up in the West. Then you got to deal with the Spurs, Fox and Wemby, and they have plenty of options to improve this roster with their draft picks. And then you have to deal with Denver Nuggets still. And of course, we can't forget about the Memphis Grizzlies. So that's a lot to compete with right now. So if the Lakers take their time and just improve the roster, you know they're going to get guys in free agency. We know they're going to make other trades at some point. Just take your time, see who fits well with Luka. So I look at a guy like DFS. I think he would do well playing with Luka. I look at a guy like Dalton Connect. I think he could have an impact on this roster. Or maybe you build up his value and you get more in a trade for him. You just have to be patient with this process. You can't expect everything to just happen overnight where you get everything immediately. That's not how it works in the NBA. You build your chemistry, you build your reps, and then you reach the mountaintop. So I am excited, though, for Luka and LeBron. I think they're going to play really well next to each other. It's going to be a show to watch, and I'm just excited for that. The Mark Williams trade, thank God it did not happen because I'm telling you right now, if he was injury prone like he is right now, and he continues to stay injured, you're out of assets, and then you have to assume Luka might not be happy to stay longer with the Lakers because remember, he could opt out of his contract in 2026. So it's not the end of the world. Go into the offseason, improve around the edges of the roster with adding a big and more depth for your bench, and they'll be fine. Remember, it's LA. People are going to play the Lakers. There's no doubt about that. And even as a Celtics fan, I can admit this team will get better. And, we'll see what happens this offseason. I'm very curious to see what Rob Pelinka does. I love the fact that they went to Luka first before they went to LeBron because they're telling LeBron James, listen, you're part of our franchise, but you're not the best player on this team. We're going to take Luka's opinion before yours going forward. That's a good sign. Lakers fans, you should be excited that they're moving forward, that they're trying to build something. It just didn't work out. And thank God it didn't because, man, if Mark Williams had got traded and we saw his injury concerns become a major problem, then you have less assets available. And now you're like, okay, who are we trading from our starting lineup? To be honest, I'm trading LeBron James. That sounds crazy, but I'm going to get draft capital. I'm going to probably get a role player or two. And then we just move on with Luka at that point. Sounds crazy, but you want to build around him. There's no doubt about it. And I'm excited for his debut. Hopefully, Luka can stay healthy for the rest of the season because we know how good he is. And him and LeBron are going to be fun to watch. But don't expect to, make the NBA Finals. It's okay if they get knocked down in the second round. It's not the end of the world because remember, you're building for the long haul. This is a 2 to 3 year process, in my opinion, before the Lakers end up winning a championship. Remember, you have to go through the grind. You have to go through the process. You don't just win championships so quickly. It doesn't always happen. So, yeah, shout out to the Lakers. You guys are still doing a great job. And, again, you dodged the bullet here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Love to hear your thoughts on Mark Williams not coming to LA. Were you disappointed? Were you relieved because of his injury concerns? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.